For many people, Thanksgiving is a day of family, food, and fun, and to be grateful for the family and friends that you are gathered with. But for most people, Thanksgiving can be about family, fraud, and murder, and that is the case for Paul Carneiro. If you want to know more about this case, please continue watching. In November of 2020, 53-year-old Paul Carneiro slaughtered his brother's whole family and then set their house on fire, all because of money and greed that he had. And so he felt like to get the money that he felt he was owed, he had to slaughter his brother and his whole family and set their home on fire. And what makes it so much worse is that he was not only stealing from his brother, whom he was in business with, he was stealing from his nieces and nephews' college fund to pay for his own daughter's college fund. And he had to cover up this fraud that he was committing because his brother, Keith, made him a trustee over his niece and nephew's college funds. And I'm not exactly sure why he did that, but that would be a decision that he would soon come to regret. Now, at the time that this article was written, it said that Canario faced the possibility of trial for the next year in the horrific slayings of his younger brother, Keith, and his sister-in-law, Jennifer, and their two young kids. The family had appointed trustee of the children's college funds to Paul Canario, but instead he stole $90,000 according to a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the relatives. And so, I mean, I don't understand why he couldn't just either ask to borrow the money instead of stealing it, because he and his brother were in business together. So I'm pretty sure his brother wouldn't have a problem with helping to cover his niece's tuition, or at least cover some parts of it until Paul could come up with the rest of the money, instead of him just feeling like he had to steal from his nieces and nephews as well as his brother and his wife, basically his brother's family. And that goes to show you, sometimes just because someone is family with you, that does not mean that they have your best interest at heart. They only share the same DNA, but not the same characteristics. And that makes for two different types of people, where one is likely to do the right thing, as Keith was, and one to go the opposite route, which Paul did. And this is the result of that. Now, I hate to say this, but some people might think that, oh, he simply killed his brother's family and then just went about his way. No, the way in which he killed them was very gruesome, because Paul shot his brother Keith, who was 50 at the time, 4 times in his head, but Keith was found on his front lawn, shot 5 times. And like I said, 4 of those times were in the head. His wife, Jennifer, who was 45 at the time, was discovered shot and stabbed. And the children, Jesse, age 11, and Sophia, age 8, were stabbed. And it is sad because little Sophia lived in that state for a while before firefighters were able to break through the door to get to her. And she was the only one of the children or of the family that had soot on her tongue and in her vocal area, I think around her vocal cord. So that means that, it is evident to see that she was still breathing after she was stabbed, as many times as she was. And she was the only one to make it to the hospital and, survive her parents. But I think she later died as well. And can you imagine being 8 years old and hearing your whole family possibly being murdered, and there's nothing you can do about it? And unfortunately, you're the last one. And I think, not including her parents, she was the one that received the most stab wounds of the children anyway. And it's just horrible to think that that poor child clinged to life for that long, in order to only succumb to her injuries because of her uncle being a greedy and sick a-hole, all because he wanted to steal money so bad, when I'm sure he could have asked for it, or even I'm pretty sure his brother would have probably, given it to him, or paid his niece's tuition off himself, if it came down to it. I just don't understand how people can be so greedy for money, and let alone, I don't see how people can commit these acts of violence and think that, oh, I'm going to get away with this and everything's going to be fine and I'm just going to ride off into the sunset. That's not how it works. And the sad part about this is, remember how I said Sophia had clung to life? It is determined that the victims were shot 9 hours before the fire was reported at 12:38 p.m. So this was more than 9 hours after the gunshots were heard. So that would lead me to believe that the murders took place around 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And my question is, why are you there at 3:30 in the morning and you have your own family and your own home to go to? Second of all, how did you get into your brother's house? But now that I think about it, he probably had a spare key, or he knew where a spare key was hidden, and he used that to his advantage so that it wouldn't look like, I guess, a breaking and entering. But I mean, either way it goes, you're still in your brother's home to commit or carry out a crime against the entire family. Now, I know that the brother Keith and his wife Jennifer knew something was up, because the older sister of Jennifer, Bonnie, was told in April of 2018 about Paul's alleged thieving. That was months before he killed the family in a bloodbath. And Jennifer's father, Velasquez Carderas, was the one to file the lawsuit on behalf of his daughter and his grandchildren, I'm pretty sure. But in the spring of 2018, Bonnie learned from both Jennifer and Keith that Paul had stopped paying for his daughter Marissa's college tuition, like I told you earlier, and that he wound up paying it at a cost of approximately $60,000, the suit said. Court papers also revealed Sophia's, injuries to her upper airways and how she had smoke inhalation injuries. And it said that she also had thermal burns, and her eyebrows, and some of her other, her hair were basically burned off, um because, like I said, she was the only one who survived for those amount of hours before firefighters were able to rescue her from the home that after, that the uncle set on fire, which I still cannot imagine how you can bring yourself to commit acts like that, especially when there are children involved. But that lets you know that some people are just that sick and deprived, and some people shouldn't be trusted with certain family finances, because that can lead to what happened here. And I think that, I don't understand how you can literally kill your brother and his wife and their children's people that you are supposed to care for and love with all of your heart. But like I said, sometimes these things are about greed and not about the other person or people that you're supposed to look out for. A lot of times it's about self and not about family. And just because someone is your family and has the same DNA as you does not mean that they always have your best interests at heart. So the next time that you think about putting someone as your power of attorney or a trustee of your estate, make sure that that person is the right person and that they don't have any malicious intent to take you out for their own financial gain if things don't go their way. But the sad part about him, Mr. Paul Carneiro here, when he was taken to trial, he had the audacity to plead not guilty. And it is all. But unfortunately, guys, that brings me to the end of this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.